Many years ago, in a beautiful city called Abani, there lived a young man named Raph. He was incredibly handsome, the kind of man every lady dreamed of. Fortunately for him, he had found success early in life. Immediately after graduating from the university, he secured a prestigious job at an oil company, where he earned a substantial salary. This made him a wealthy and influential man. Raph enjoyed the luxuries his wealth afforded him. He spent money freely, built several houses, and made wise investments across various sectors. After a few years, he decided it was time to settle down and start a family. He had specific qualities he wanted in a wife. She had to be homely, humble, kind-hearted, well-mannered, and, of course, very beautiful. Before long, Raph met Ada, a young woman who had recently graduated from the university. She possessed all the qualities he desired in a wife. They dated for over a year before Raph proposed to her during a romantic dinner. Ada was overjoyed at the thought of becoming Raph's wife and accepted his proposal without hesitation. Just a few months later, they had an extravagant wedding ceremony, with no expense spared. The newlyweds were deeply in love and soon settled into married life. Raph proved to be a caring husband. He was attentive, provided generously, and ensured that Ada lacked nothing. However, Raph was a very traditional man. He firmly believed that a woman's place was at home and that a man should be the sole provider for his household. He also held the belief that male children were more valuable than female children and that every man must have a son to carry on his legacy, otherwise, he had failed in life. Ada, on the other hand, was a modern woman. She was surprised to discover how deeply rooted Raph's traditional views were, as he had always appeared to be an open-minded and progressive man. The reality of his beliefs became clear to her barely a month into their marriage. One evening, as they sat in their beautiful living room, Ada looked at her husband and said, "Now that our honeymoon is over, I would love to start looking for a job. After all, I am a graduate with excellent results. With your network and connections, you could put in a good word for me at your company or any other place." Raph immediately dismissed the idea. "A job? My wife cannot work for another man. Did I ever make you feel like I cannot provide for my home? Stay at home, take care of yourself and our household. I will place you on a monthly salary," he declared firmly. Ada tried to explain, "It's not just about money. I want to be productive and engage my mind. I don't want to be a stay-at-home wife." "This matter is not up for discussion," Raph responded. "My wife will not be answering to another man. Not in this world and not in any other lifetime. And as for being productive, you will have more than enough to do by taking care of our home and raising my sons." Realizing that Raph was resolute, Ada decided to let the matter rest. Besides, Raph kept to his word. He provided her with a generous monthly allowance and ensured she had more than enough money for household expenses. Instead of feeling frustrated about not being allowed to work, Ada chose to invest wisely. She bought shares, stocks, land, and gold, all without her husband's knowledge. At the same time, she embraced her role as a homemaker, ensuring their house was always clean and well maintained. She experimented with new recipes and took excellent care of Raph, who remained happy and satisfied with their marriage. Before long, Ada began having children. Within a few years, she gave birth to 3 beautiful daughters. That was when Raph's attitude began to change. He started demanding a male child. One day, he looked at his wife and said, "When are you going to give me a son? Look at my friend Uche, his wife gave him 4 healthy boys. Don't you know that a man without a son is not a real man? Do you want me to be a laughingstock among my peers? Besides, who will inherit all the wealth I have accumulated over the years?" Ada tried to reassure him. "Please, don't talk like that. I am not the one who determines the sex of a baby." Raph held firm to the belief that a man without a male child had failed, for he saw sons as the only true heirs to a man's legacy. His frustration grew with each passing year, and despite Ada's devotion and the love of their daughters, he felt empty. His friends mocked him in secret, and even his kinsmen whispered that his wealth would be inherited by outsiders. Blinded by his obsession, Raph sought solace elsewhere. He began a secret affair with a younger woman, Sonia, who was eager to secure a wealthy husband. When she became pregnant, he saw it as a sign of destiny. He did not hesitate to bring Sonia into his home and officially marry her as his second wife. On the day Sonia gave birth to a baby boy, Raph was overjoyed. He threw a lavish celebration, slaughtering cows and throwing feasts in honor of his son, whom he named Obiahulu. But from that moment, Ada and her daughters became nothing but shadows in their own home. Sonia quickly assumed control of the household, treating Ada with contempt. She openly ridiculed her, calling her a barren tree that bore only useless branches. With time, Sonia's cruelty extended to Ada's daughters, whom she regarded as threats to her own son's inheritance. She made them do the hardest chores, denied them good food, and punished them unjustly. Raph, once a loving father, turned his back on his daughters. He no longer acknowledged their achievements, no matter how brilliant they were in school. If they needed anything, he dismissed them, saying, "Why waste money on girls? They'll just marry and leave." Ada endured the pain in silence, praying that one day her husband would see reason. But the more she prayed, the worse things became. One fateful night, after an intense argument, Raph threw Ada out of their matrimonial home. With nowhere else to turn, she left with her daughters and sought refuge in her family home. Years passed, and Ada's daughters grew into successful women. The eldest, Chidinma, became a renowned lawyer, the second, Aluchi, built a thriving fashion empire, and the youngest, Nakem, was a doctor. Despite their pain, they persevered, proving their worth beyond their father's narrow-minded beliefs. Meanwhile, Raph's life took a turn for the worse. His businesses began to crumble due to poor decisions, and he discovered that Sonia had been siphoning his money behind his back. Worse still, his beloved son, Obiahulu, whom he had placed all his hopes on, grew up to be reckless and irresponsible. He squandered money on gambling and bad investments. By the time Raph realized his mistake, it was too late. One day, sick and broken, Raph found himself alone. Sonia had taken what was left of his wealth and disappeared. Obiahulu, now an adult, wanted nothing to do with him. Desperate and filled with regret, Raph reached out to Ada and their daughters, but they had moved on. Sitting in an empty house that once echoed with laughter, Raph wept. He had abandoned true love, respect, and devotion in pursuit of a misguided belief. He had forsaken his daughters, his true legacy. And now, in his old age, he had nothing left but regret. For the first time in his life, Raph finally understood, a man's true legacy is not in the gender of his children, but in the values he instills and the love he nurtures within his family. Raph having no one to care for him, he was left to suffer in solitude. In his pain and regret, memories of Ada and his daughters flooded his mind. He recalled how he had cast them aside, failing to appreciate the love and stability they had once provided. Summoning his last strength, Raph decided to search for Ada. He traveled to her father's house in the village, hoping to find her. When he arrived, he saw Ada, now a dignified woman, surrounded by their 3 daughters, who had all become successful in their respective careers. The sight of them filled him with both joy and deep sorrow. With tears in his eyes, Raph fell to his knees before Ada, begging for her forgiveness. He confessed his mistakes, acknowledging how foolish he had been to abandon her and their daughters. Ada, though deeply hurt by his past actions, saw the broken man before her and felt pity. Her daughters, who had long harbored resentment, watched in silence as their mother weighed her decision. After much persuasion from her daughters, Ada reluctantly agreed to return home with Raph. She could not ignore the love she once had for him, nor could she turn away from a man who was now completely alone and in need. With time, they rekindled their bond, and Raph, humbled by his experiences, became a better husband and father. His daughters, despite everything, took care of him in his old age. However, life did not turn out as Sonia had hoped. Expecting to find another wealthy man to support her lifestyle, she quickly realized that her beauty alone was not enough to secure the comfort she once had. With no real skills or a stable means of income, she struggled to survive. Obiahulu, raised without discipline, continued his reckless ways, getting involved with the wrong crowd. Eventually, he found himself entangled in crime, leading to multiple arrests. Sonia, burdened by regret and hardship, wished she had made better choices but found herself trapped in a life far worse than she had imagined. Raph learned the hard way that true wealth lies not in money but in the love and support of family. And so, he spent his remaining years surrounded by the very people he once took for granted, living out his days in peace and contentment. Lessons to be learned from this story. 1. Wealth and status can disappear, but the love and support of family endure through all hardships. 2. Raph's desire for a male heir caused him to discard his loving wife and daughters, only to realize too late that they were his true blessing. 3. Obiahulu's lack of discipline led to his downfall, highlighting the importance of raising children with strong values. 4. Reckless spending and poor decisions can lead to financial ruin, no matter how rich one may seem. 5. Ada's ability to forgive Raph teaches that despite past mistakes, redemption is possible if one is truly remorseful. Advice to my viewers: value and appreciate the people who genuinely love and support you, especially family. Raise children with discipline and good morals to ensure they become responsible adults. Manage wealth wisely, as riches can vanish in an instant. Do not discriminate against your children based on gender, every child is a blessing. Learn to forgive, as bitterness only weighs down the soul, and true peace comes from letting go of past hurts. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to my channel, like, share the video to your loved ones. See you in our next video. Bye.